Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us today. This flow is particularly useful for people who spend a lot of time, maybe even all day, sitting at a desk, at their computer. I call it a desk jockey flow. That being said, let's just go ahead and jump right in. If you have two blocks available or books that you can stack up and make the same height, I highly recommend having some blocks for this practice. Other than that, just meet me standing at the top of your mat. Once you get there, let your arms just come to rest by your sides. Stand up nice and tall. Maybe your feet are touching, maybe they are about hips width distance. All 10 toes face forward. You can take a few moments, sort of wiggle, jiggle, adjust. When you are ready, perhaps you close your eyes. If that feels a little wobbly, just soften the gaze, look at the floor a few feet ahead of you. We'll start with 3 slow, intentional breaths. Inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the nose. 2 more breaths, nice and slow. At the end of that 3rd breath, flutter the eyes open if they were closed. Use your next inhale, reach the arms up overhead, look up, maybe the palms touch. And then exhale, bring your hands to heart center. 2 more times. Inhale, lift the arms, look up. Exhale, hands to the heart. Last one, circle sweep the arms, nice big stretch. Exhale, hands to the heart. This time, as you exhale, take a forward fold. You can round through the spine here. Keep the feet about hips width distance. Maybe turn it into a bit of a ragdoll. Can hold opposite elbows. Bend the knees. Let the head be heavy. Let the upper body be heavy. Just let gravity do a little bit of the work here to start. And slowly release the hands towards the floor. Straighten the legs. Heel toe the feet together to touch. Find this forward fold. Your knees might be bent here. Use your legs. Use the inhale. Come all the way back up to stand. Lift the arms. Look up. And then exhale the arms by your sides. Find that mountain pose. Take your feet a little bit wider than hips width distance here. Make sure the toes are still facing forward and bring your hands to your low back. So your fingers are pointing down. Take a moment, get nice strong legs. Keep the legs straight. Bring the elbows towards each other. Press the hips forward. As you do this, you might feel a little compression in the low back. So find some length here first. As you're pressing the hips forward, lengthen the spine, lift the chest. Maybe you start to look towards the ceiling. Maybe you start to look towards whatever is behind you. Take another breath. Keep the legs straight, keep the hips pressing forward. Good. Slowly make your way up out of that back bend. Round through your spine. Come back to that forward fold. Bring the feet a little bit closer, maybe about hips width distance. And then find that ragdoll shape again. Bend the knees, maybe sway side to side. Release the hands towards the mat. Come into a halfway lift and a flat back. So your hands might be on your thighs or your shins here. Make sure the spine is straight. Make sure the legs are straight. And then as you exhale, fold forward again, bring the feet back to touch. You can round through the spine, bend the knees a little if you need to. Use the inhale and your nice strong legs. Come all the way up to stand. Lift the arms. Maybe find a little bit of a back bend. And then exhale the arms by your sides. Good. Take your feet about hips width distance here. Arms by your sides. This time, as you inhale, lift the arms. Find a little back bend. Maybe you even bend the elbows and bring the forearms behind the head. Press the hips forward. Exhale, release. Fold forward. Maybe this is a time now where you have those blocks. Inhale, lift halfway, find that flat back. Exhale, hands to the mat, hands on block. Step the right foot back. Lower the right knee down, untuck the toes. Blocks can be on either side of that left foot. We're going to floss in and out between this hip flexor stretch on the right side. Maybe stay here for a moment and then tuck the toes. Pick up that back knee, rock the hips back, finding that hamstring stretch on the left side. So this is a modified pyramid pose. Do that a couple more times, just moving in and out, maybe not lingering for too long in each version of this stretch. Don't worry if it feels really good in one version or the other. We're coming back to it. We're just flossing a little bit to warm up those areas. Do it one more time. Rock the hips back. Find that modified pyramid pose. And then this time, as you come forward, lower the knee, untuck those right toes. We're going to stay here. So hands can press into the blocks. Press the hips forward and down. Get a nice deep stretch in that right hip flexor. Maybe lift the chest a little bit. You could keep the hands on the blocks. You might even lift the arms up overhead. If you're feeling warm enough already, you might even start to find a little back bend, but you don't have to here. Stay for another breath. And then slowly come out of that stretch. Bring your hands back onto the blocks. Rock the hips back a little bit. Straighten out that left leg. Maybe bring the blocks back just a little. Keep the right hip over that right knee. You can point the left toes here. If you need this to be less intense, you can flex it. If you need this to be more intense, but the idea here is straight leg, straight spine, maybe starting to hinge forward, but only if you can do so with that leg straight, the spine straight. Take another few breaths, nice and slow. In and out through the nose. Good. Slowly come out of that stretch. Rebend that front knee. Hands can come onto blocks. Step your left knee back. Maybe move the blocks to the side for a moment. We're taking a puppy pose before we get to our other leg. So keep the hips directly over the knees. Start to walk the hands forward. When the hips want to start to come forward, that's where you stop. So extend the arms out. Active arms, press the palms down, then start to lower the chest down. Maybe the forehead comes to the mat. Maybe you're not quite that warm yet. Maybe the forehead comes to a block. Stay active in the arms. Take a few breaths. And just notice where you feel the sensation. Is it in the shoulders? Is it in the chest? Are you feeling it as a back bend? Maybe you feel it a little in the low back. Slowly start to back off of this shape. Lift the head, walk the hands back towards that tabletop position, all fours. And when you are ready, step the right foot forward. Maybe you find those blocks here again. We'll floss a little bit on this side before we settle into those stretches. So find that deep lunge, maybe walk the left knee back a little bit, and then tuck the back toes, pick up the back knee, rock the hips back, straighten the legs, find that stretch in the back of the right thigh. Good. Do that a couple of more times. Drop the knee, find a little bit of a stretch in the front of the left hip, and then rock back again. Not staying for too long. Do it one more time. Drop that left knee, press the hips forward and down. Backing off, tuck the toes, lift the hips. Find the stretch on that right hamstring. Good. This time we stay. Lower the left knee, untuck the toes. Start to press the hips forward and down. Maybe start to lengthen the spine a little bit here. Lift the chest. Hands might stay on blocks. Here's that opportunity to lift the arms. Maybe look up. Maybe start to find a little back bend. Take another breath. Slowly start to release. Bring the hands down. Come into that hamstring stretch here. So rock the hips back. Right leg straightens. Maybe the blocks come back a little bit. Find your version. Left hip stays over the left. Maybe you point the toes for a little less intensity. Maybe you flex. Try to keep the spine straight and the leg straight, the right leg straight. Hinge forward. Take 3 more breaths. Slowly start to back off. Rebend the front knee. Blocks can come to the side again for a moment. Plant the hands. Step that right knee back. We'll find puppy pose again. So maybe finding a deeper version this time. Maybe you're a little more warm. See how it goes. Hips stay over the knees. Hands walk forward. Once the arms can't extend out any further, then start to drop the chest. Maybe this time the forehead comes to the mat. If your upper back and your shoulders are super open, you might start to look forward. Think about bringing your chin onto the mat, but that might not be accessible just yet. In time. So just stay wherever those sensations are for you. Slowly start to make your way up. Find your way back to tabletop. Come to all fours. Once you're there, tuck your toes, lift your hips, find downward facing dog. Take a few moments in this downward facing dog. Maybe even you pedal out your feet, stretch out the calves, wiggle the hips a little bit side to side. When you're ready with your next inhale, bend your knees, look forward, make your way to the top of the mat, find a forward fold. Inhale, find that halfway lift, your flat back. Exhale, fold in. Use the inhale, come all the way up to stand, lift the arms, look up, maybe that back bend. Exhale, bring your hands to heart center. Good. Bring your arms back by your sides. Inhale, lift the arms, find the back bend, maybe the elbows bend. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift halfway, find that flat back. Exhale, plant your hands. This time, step the left foot back first. Drop the left knee, untuck the toes. You might have blocks nearby. Finding a quadricep stretch here on the left side. So if your knees bother you in this position, you might bring a towel under the left knee. You also might find as you start to bend this left knee that you can't quite catch the foot. If you can't catch the foot this way, no problem. You can use a strap, a belt, anything that you have available to you, wrap it around that left foot so that you can get a little extra length here. So finding that quadricep stretch, if you have a hold of the foot, start to bring that heel towards the left hip. Once the heel is coming in towards the hip, try to square everything else off. So both hips point forward, both shoulders point forward. You might not be as deep as what I'm showing here. You might be right here, and this might be the stretch for you. Again, you might have a strap, just working to bring the left heel towards the left hip. Slowly, carefully release out of that stretch. If you have the blocks here, maybe bring the block on the inside of the right foot and walk the right foot over to the edge of the mat. You're just going to open and close this right hip a little bit. You might rock onto the outer edge of the right foot. Just take a few pulses here. And then we'll settle into a lizard pose. So keep the right foot towards that right edge of the mat. This might be intense enough for you right here with the hands up on blocks. Maybe the hands come onto the mat with straight arms. If that's not enough sensation for you, you might bring the forearms onto blocks, so dropping the chest a little lower. Final option is to bring the forearms all the way down to the mat, but that's pretty intense. So stay wherever that sensation is in that right hip. You might also feel this in the front of the left thigh, that left hip flexor. So just taking a few more breaths in your lizard pose. Slowly start to back off, maybe coming up off the blocks, planting the hands if you had your forearms down, and then eventually stepping your right knee back, finding tabletop. We'll take a side puppy here. So bring your left hand towards the left side of the mat. It might even come slightly off of the mat. Extend your right arm at a diagonal towards that top left corner. Your thumb is facing up, pinky side down. Start to drop that pinky edge of the hand onto the mat, then lower down into this stretch. So you might feel it as a side stretch. You might feel it right here in that tricep area. Do whatever you need to do with your left hand to support yourself to make it feel useful, helpful. Just think about bringing that right armpit towards the mat. Slowly, carefully, start to back off, press through the left palm, bring the right hand to the right side of the mat, maybe slightly off of the mat, and extend the left arm towards that top left corner. Drop that pinky edge of the left hand, start to lower down. Maybe the side of your face rests on the upper arm. Take a few breaths. Focus on dropping that left armpit down. Maybe pulling the left hip back a little bit to just intensify the side stretch on the left side. Press into that right palm. Make your way back to tabletop. Find those blocks again. Bring them on either side of the mat. And when you're ready, step the left foot forward, making our way into the quadricep stretch first on the right side. So if you need a strap, putting the strap around the right foot, using your right hand to find the stretch here. So bringing that right heel towards the right hip, remembering to bring everything back through center, square the hips forward, square the shoulders forward. Take a few more breaths. And then slowly start to back off. Release the foot, bringing that block that's under the left hand to the inside of the left foot, walking the left foot to the outer edge of the mat, finding that hip opening here. So remember rocking onto the outer edge of that left foot and then bringing the knee back in line with the hip and the ankle. Do that a few times, just flossing in and out. And then setting up for lizard pose on this side. Find your variation. Maybe the hands are on blocks and the arms are straight. Maybe the forearms are on blocks. Maybe the forearms come all the way down. Again, wherever that sensation is for you in the left hip, take your time, take a few more breaths. Slowly starting to back off, maybe straightening the arms, planting the hands if you were on your forearms. Eventually making your way back to all fours, finding your tabletop position. From here, step the knees back just a little bit, come to a supported plank. So the spine is straight, shoulders are over the wrists. As you exhale, bend your elbows, lower yourself all the way down to the mat. Come onto your belly. Let your forehead rest. Let your arms come by your sides. Feet are touching, thighs are touching. Use the next inhale, lift the head, lift the chest, lift the feet. Maybe look towards the top of the mat. Keep squeezing the shoulder blades together. Keep pressing the hips down. Take another breath, lift the chest a little higher, lift the feet a little higher. And then exhale, slowly lower down. Maybe make a pillow out of the forearms. You can sway your heels side to side a little bit. We have 2 more back bends. You can do what we just did again for each of them. If you want to add on a little bit more for this round, starts in a similar way, forehead resting, arms can be by your sides to start. Make sure the feet are touching, thighs are touching. If you're adding on this time, maybe interlace the fingers behind the back and then extend the arms straight. Use the inhale, lift the head, lift the chest, lift the feet, reach the arms behind you. Reach for whatever is back there, the wall, a door, anything that's behind you. Keep pressing the hips down, squeezing the shoulder blades together, lift the chest a little higher. Take another breath. And then slowly lower down. Again, maybe make that pillow out of the forearms. Can sway heels side to side. Third and final back bend, your choice. Again, repeating anything we have already done or option for a full bow pose. So starting again, forehead on the mat. This time bend the knees. Make sure the knees are touching and the thighs are touching. See if you can reach for the outer edges of the feet or maybe your ankles. Let the forehead come back down. Feet touching, knees touching, thighs touching. As you inhale, kick the feet into the hands. Let that be what lifts the chest. Keep pressing the hips down. Keep kicking the feet into the hands. Breathe. And then exhale, slowly release. Maybe make that pillow. Maybe this time bend the knees and windshield wiper the shin side to side. When you're ready, letting the legs come back out long, feet on the mat, hands next to the low ribs, forehead resting. Squeeze the elbows towards each other. Use the next inhale, press through the palms, lift the chest, find a little back bend. And then as you exhale, press the palms down, round through the spine, tuck the tailbone a little bit, bring your hips to your heels. Find a child's pose. Maybe in this child's pose, the arms are draped by your sides. Maybe the knees are a little closer if that feels better to you. Take another breath here. When you're ready, press your hands next to your knees. Press up to a comfortable seat. Maybe sink over onto one hip or the other and come to a comfortable seated posture on your mat. You might be sitting on a block, might be sitting with your legs crossed, whatever is comfortable. Sit up nice and tall. Let your hands rest on your knees or your thighs. Close your eyes if it's comfortable for you in the space that you're in. And we'll take 5 more slow, intentional breaths, inhaling and exhaling through the nose. Nice and slow, nice and steady. At the end of your 5th breath, keep the eyes closed. If they were closed, bring your hands to heart center. We'll take one last collective breath. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the nose. Bring your hands to your forehead center. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of your practice today. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. Thank you, as always, for joining, and I hope to see you again on your mat soon.